Okay, can't give us the date again, please?
No problem. Today's November 18th, 2017.
Okay. 970. 970, go ahead.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Wonderful. Come on in.
I guess it's morning, noon, and night.
Mm-hmm.
Been listening to everybody talk. A little bit about my background. My name's Jared Rand. In a good way, attached to the company Sperry Rand, Rand McNally, Rand Corporation. Mm-hmm. I became involved in the transition in this country 36 years ago. And I was one of the people that was approached while in college on a process that needed to be enacted to carry our country, after over 150 years of tyranny, into a true republic. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting, the process here, and I've heard a lot of people talk and the concerns and how many people have suffered. And, we all know that on this planet today, many, many, many brothers and sisters are suffering, dying, and passing, way before this monetary shift was engaged. And, we do what we can to help those that we can in stressful times, because we're all responsible for each other, and we always will be on this planet. And, the interesting thing is that when you've got so many varying governing bodies on the planet, different cultures, different social structures, and you have layered tiers of those in command. When I'm talking about those in command, I'm talking about the off-worlders, Galactic Council, the Asian families and Eastern European families, the so-called keepers of the wealth of the planet. And then you have the good people who have become good that weren't too good a while ago, but decided that they didn't want this planet to be destroyed, and they wanted to start doing good things for humanity. So I don't think any of us have stellar, backgrounds. We've all made mistakes in our lives. But the fact of the matter is that when you have so many nooks and crannies, if you will, scattered just across this country in North America, where you have the rot and the slime that has just grown completely out of control in every village, township, parish, state, city. It is massive. And when we talk about the 1,800, for better choice of a word, arrest warrants, which they will end up becoming, we're looking at, folks, literally tens of thousands of arrests. So they're trying to give you a good understanding of the scope of this, all right? 150 years of rot and criminality perpetrated against the American people on a knowing basis, repeatedly, generation after generation, of these people who did what they have done, and also knowing that they have done it, all right? Shame on us. We fell asleep at the wheel. We weren't awake. We became complacent as a people, and we pulled ourselves away from running our country. And we just said, let the government do it, let the government do it. Obviously, they aren't our government and never were. So what has happened here is that you start off with a good idea, just like anything. You have a good idea. It looks like a good model. You get people together that really care about the country, and they all sit around and they say, this is a good thing, But man, is it a huge undertaking. I don't know if we can do it or not. And then you have the other people that say, yeah, we can do it. We can do it. And as a lot of you well know, there aren't a lot of leaders, true leaders. You're either born to lead or you're not. That's the bottom line. And unfortunately, there's a lot of C students in this country leading A students around.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the effect of this finally took hold. And more good people started joining forces. And they started working in a collaborative effort to rid this country of the cesspool or the infection, excuse me, that has grown at an exponential rate through the years. And what we have now is that we have a country on the verge of finally becoming a republic, and all of us on this call should be really proud of the fact that we're part of it, that we're actually going to witness a shift in a country of over 300 million people and a shift of the entire planet, of every single country, to a gold-backed currency. And I'd really like to let people know that the amount of wealth, excuse me, the amount of wealth on this planet has accumulated over tens of thousands of years. Alexander the Great, Attila the Hun, Caesar and the Roman Empire, which partially still exists at the Vatican. And you start realizing that, you know, some of the wealth was taken off planet, but the majority of the wealth is still here, buried in underground vaults, as sure as a lot of you have heard. This wealth is for the human race. It's for you, me, everybody. The people that are suffering right now, the people that are getting ready to lose their homes right now. You know, all of the American people and the people across the planet. And then what we have is we have the technologies. Now, we have a foundation that we've had for many years, that we've met many, many inventors. We've seen and experienced much of these technologies. So we've verified, confirmed, authenticated them to make sure that they are basically what they say they are. And we see them in action. Now, you know, it is almost so exciting to know this when you actually know it and you actually have experienced certain aspects of it. You take on a whole different type of attitude. You start getting brighter. You start feeling better. You start feeling lighter. You get spring in your step because of the fact that it's a one-time deal. And I think we're going to get it right this time. We're going to turn the corner, and the human race is going to get it right. And it's so refreshing to hear people make statements with true heartfelt convictions on this call tonight. They basically make the statement is that, hey, this isn't about the money for me. This is about really, truly wanting to help people and wanting to help people across the board. And you know, we counsel people on their project usage and everything, and it's real simple with projects. You don't need a big confab with your projects. Basically what you do is you start in your community. There's an old adage, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And that's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. And there's no, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. You don't have to have 4 PhDs. You don't have to have an MBA and years of experience. You just have to have it in your heart and to know that what you want to do, you're going to do. You're going to help people. You're going to help each other. So getting to the actual shish boom bob bang shebang, and that is the financial shift here on the planet. And I'll just say that, you know, generally for the whole entire planet Earth, the entire population. The problem has always been is that, and I'll give you an example. Mary sprained her ankle this morning. And by that evening, with people talking with people about Mary spraining her ankle, She's in intensive care in a body cast. And unfortunately, what a lot of people don't realize is that when information is deliberately leaked to kind of get it out there to test the waters to see how the audience responds to that information, what happens is that rumors start, right? And they build. And it's human nature. It happens all the time. I'm sure you've all experienced yourselves. Is that the truth of the matter is one thing, but the end factor is an entirely whole different story that's just blossomed into something absolutely ridiculous. Okay? So when you have to coordinate with all different governments and cultures, imagine countries that have never, ever had a say about anything on the planet. Never. Okay? They've been dumped on, treated like dog dung, had their currencies totally bastardized and destroyed for generations, and now they have a say. They actually have a say about what happens on planet Earth. And imagine coordinating all of that. Before you even get to the money aspect, you're coordinating, trying to get all of these people in the proper positions of authority. And we're not talking about most of the current governments. We're talking about the new republic governments or the planet. You're coordinating all these people, all right? All with different bringing ups, all with different directions, attitudes, ideas, so on and so forth. It is massive. It is absolutely massive. And then everybody signs documents. Everybody has to sign agreements. You have to have record. You keep record of all of this. So it's done legit and legally and clean. So, okay, so you have everybody sign documents and sign this agreement and that agreement. And then a few of them decide they changed their minds. So it all has to be done again. Now, to the general public, this looks like a stall, or it looks like a bunch of crap again, okay? Because they don't know the facts. And it's really hard. How are they going to know the facts? They don't. They have broken pieces, you know. It's this bunch of broken pieces. So they try to put two and two together with the calls that people have and the conference calls and everything. And they do the best they can. But then what happens is that these things continue and they keep leaking out and people start twisting them, some knowingly, some not knowingly. And then everybody gets confused. Then they get frustrated. You know, it's like the boy who cried wolf one too many times. So after a while, people just say, yeah, right. All right, so we are what we think, unfortunately. That's very powerful. So what we think, we create. And we're all creators, and we've had people reinforce that tonight on this call. So when you think a certain way, you're going to create it. So what do you get? If you think, is this ever going to happen? And, oh, it may be never going to happen. Or, oh, my God, what's going to, I need this now. I want it now. Quit messing with me and give it to me. I want it now. I demand it now. Well, when you don't really know the whole picture and the whole scope of what's really taking place on the planet, and the money part is a part of it, but not all of it, it gets real frustrating. So you think about coordinating all this and all these different nationalities and cultures and people and governments and so on and so forth, positioning them, putting your militaries in the right place for the people, which is another undertaking. When you have a military that actually thinks it is for the people, and then it finds out it isn't for the people, okay? Now, all of you on this call know one thing. You're awakened. You're all awakened at certain levels, okay? So you're not the general pop. And what happens with the general population is that, and I think you all know this, is that when you send information out to the general population, it's dangerous. You got to be careful because you have such a varying degree of perspective. It's massive. It's not uniform. It's different perspectives, different outlooks, different attitudes, different ideas. And you're giving this information out in a vanilla flavor, but it isn't taken that way. And it's very difficult. So every bit of information that goes out there, it gets twisted, and it gets turned, and it causes problems, and it causes holdups because of that. So you keep trying to figure out a way to get the information out to the people so that the people can comprehend and understand what's actually transpiring. Okay. So what the end result is a night call like tonight, where everybody is just downright had it, tired out and burned out. People in this for 8 years, people in it for 10, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. You know, you've got the prosperity package people that have been in this, some of them for 45 years. And, you know, and you get to a point where you say, well, you know, it's a flip of the switch. And so what you have is you got a situation that says, how safe can we have it before we can let it? How safe can we have it before we can let it? And I mean, the safety is for everybody, you know. I'm sure you've all seen pictures of Black Friday, right? The proverbial Walmart video where people are just, you know, fighting over TV sets, okay? We all know what can happen in panic. If you were around in the 68 riots in Detroit, those of you that were know what happened, okay? What can happen to groups of people that are confused and misinformed, okay? That all it takes is one little drop, and you can see what can happen to the populace. And it's like a massive infection that spreads like wildfire. And once it spreads, it's almost primordial in the masses. So all of you are keepers of the flame, because you're going to be the guidance for so many people. The responsibility is horrendous. It is absolutely paramount. You'll receive your monies, but then the real work will start and never end. It will start and it will never end. It will be the rest of your life. And the responsibility is just absolutely massive. And I think that a lot of you are so fearless that a lot of you lost everything. So, you know, when you lose everything, you become the most dangerous being on the planet, because you've got nothing to lose at that point. Someone who has nothing to lose is the most dangerous opponent you could possibly have. So when you look at all of this and you see, you know, when's this going to happen? When's this going to happen? You know, all of this intel, it's all crap. It's all garbage. We've had the same thing played on us last year. That went through the same thing, and repetitive, and all of the games that have been played. Now, we work closely with the Admiral and the group there, and the Native Americans, and the structures in Texas, and the structures in Atlanta. And we work very close with those people who are really, and you probably never will hear the stories, but the fearless work that they've put in to making this as smooth a transition as possible, so that we don't have to have the preppers come out and say, you've got to save up food, and you've got to do this, and you've got to do that. And scare the living bejesus out of people in this country, just like they did with Y2K. All right? And the thing is that there isn't going to be Armageddon in North America and America. The transition to fiat currency is, in all intents purposes, other than the masses not knowing about it, on a global scale, has been put to rest. The gold-backed currencies. Now remember something, is that when you have a certificate, the certificate represents something. When you have a note, it's an IOU, just like the FRN. So the U.S., the new republic money, which will represent our country, the new republic money, is what will be released to the public. And the people will go to the bank. You'll go to the bank and you'll say, what is this? Well, this is your new money. This is gold-backed currency. And all the American people are going to want to know, does it buy the same as the one I had before? Does it buy the same as the one I had before? Yes, it does. Nothing's different. The only thing is it's gold-backed. And you think the American people at that point are going to worry about anything else? No, as long as it can buy what the other one did. Okay? Now, that process, and I'll tell this emphatically, is completed. There's no more dinking around with it. It's already done. Trump has done his thing as he's been ordered to do, and he's doing it well. He's taking care of things that should be taken care of. Okay? We have an entirely new republic government that has not presented itself to the public as of yet. That is in their camp, that they're deciding right now at this very moment on when that is going to take place. Now, the discussion has been of gradualization, and some of you know what gradualization is, and that's how they've conditioned most of the American people. You do it a little bit at a time. You take a little sip at a time, little sip at a time, little sip at a time. You know, that's when they dumbed down the country when they went into the new math back in 1963. You know, it's a dog chasing its tail. It never ends up coming to a formal solution. So anyway, what happens is you gradualize, and you condition people. And then before they know it, and they don't even know it, they've been conditioned. So they accept things. Much easier to accept things that way. Now, if you slap them upside the face, it's going to be a lot harder. You know, you got to almost force feed them. So you do it through gradualization. So this is a different way. This is going to be a slap upside the face. This is we will have, and we do have already in place, many learning centers across America where people will be able to go in and they will be able to educate themselves, and it won't cost any money. You won't have to sign a bunch of paperwork. You just go in kind of like a library in a way, but you'll go in and you'll learn the true story of your country, what actually took place and what happened. You have to inform a people of the atrocities that were committed against them so that they can pass it on to the generations and generations ahead of them so that that can never happen again. You have to educate and inform the populace of the damages that were done to them. And that's exactly what's going to take place. And it's going to take place all at once. Is that a good thing? Some people think it is. Other people think it's a real bad mistake because it's going to shock a lot of people. But I think that the majority of American people and the people on this call, there's other people that unfortunately couldn't make it to the call, are aware of enough things to keep things in order and in line, so to speak, some form of a semblance. But some people, it's the same old adage with this, how this thing has gone for people. Well, it's going to take another year. It's going to take another 5 years. It's going to take another 10 years. Okay, and then people get upset because that's I can't last that long. I just can't last that long. So the fact of the matter is when is this going to happen? I can tell you right now that it is. All of this is on the verge of happening in the next 24 hours. Now, and there's the big if everything goes well accordingly, from what I can understand and what I have been informed about, it is on the money. All right? It is just the way it is. And they've timed it a certain way with all three layers of authority on how this is going to happen. It's the same with the exchanges. It's not going to be a big deal. It is not going to be a big deal. It is going to be as simple as you walking into your local bank and saying, "Oh, I understand that there's currency has new value." Yeah. Well, can I look at that and see? Oh, that looks good. Do you have a higher rate than that? Because I have a bunch of projects that I would like to take care of, and I don't want to have to continually try to raise funds to pay for those projects. Can I get a special rate? Do you think that's possible? And I have proofs here of some of my projects if you'd care to take a look at them, because it's taken me a long time to put this stuff together. That's basically it right there. Other people will just go in and say, "Wow, that's a great rate. Can I get that?" Yeah, there you go. All right? People will become money managers. And it's all going to be about managing the money, folks. It's not going to be about having the money. It's about managing the money. It's going to be a huge accountants, finance people are going to, it'll be a boom in jobs, an absolute boom in jobs. Just absolutely phenomenal. Now, understand that all universities and colleges across America will end up being free, because there's a lot of people that plan on making sure that it's free. So they go into the university or college. I'll give you all one of them. Here's one of them. You go into a university or college in your state. You sit down with the dean, president, or you network, and you get with the right people. You say, look, what I would like to do right now is I would like to pay all the college tuition for all undergrads and grads and PhD program for the next 10 years, no matter how much it is. I want to establish a fund. My people will manage that fund, and then I will be able to keep track of that as you pay that out. You will be able to pay all the college tuition in this country for every student that wants to get an education. And there'll be a lot of changes at the universities, too, because a lot of the books will be rewritten. But the fact of the matter is, the amount of effect that, let's just say, the 700 people on this call can make is absolutely spectacular. It's just, and these are the things that we're discussing now. We're not discussing, when's this going to happen, because it's already in the gut. It's already in the chute. Okay? So these are the things that are being discussed now. On what I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And obviously, some people, there's a formula that was established years and years ago. Out of 1 million people, and everybody's saying they're going to do something. Usually when they finally are faced with everything and all the challenges and everything that's thrown at them, usually 1 in 1 million will follow through with it. Now, I think that that's a totally different story with the people on this call and the people that have stuck this out. And I take my hat off to all you and salute you all that you've stuck this out through thick and thin for how many years or months or weeks or days you've been in it. And there's a reason for that, because you were all chosen to do it. Some way, shape, or form, you've all been brought to this one path, this one circle, and the circle of influence. And the circle of influence is each and every one of you. And you've all done a spectacular job with it. No matter how burned out and tired and sick and falling apart you are, or whatever your challenge is, we've lost over 4,000 people that were close friends of ours through the last 36 years from every kind of calamity, every kind of challenge. And there's not a day that goes by that we don't think about each and every one of them. But what we have now is we have a consensus and a fluid movement of massive amounts of money. Now, you're going to see a very large amount be processed out there, and then everybody's going to be taken care of. That's pretty simple. Scaring the living bejesus out of people, say, oh, you're going to be followed, you're going to get knocked over, you're going to get grabbed, kidnapped, and you're going to have all kinds of bad things happen to you. You got to be really careful. It's just basically it's all taken care of. Just be aware, look around, look over your shoulder, look exactly, be clear on what you're doing. Be clear on what you say afterwards. That's all you got to do. It's like anything else. You win the lotto and you win $500 million, all of a sudden you got to change the way you are, the way you act, the way you talk, the way you attract. Because, folks, you're the minority. It's not the majority that's being given this wealth. You're the minority. So nothing really changes outside of where you're at, okay? It's still the same. People struggling, people suffering, people losing their homes, people not being able to eat, veterans living in cardboard boxes under bridge overpasses. It goes on and on. And to affect the change, you are the folks. You're the ones. You're going to affect that change. You're going to get those veterans out of those overpasses. You're going to fix the bridges, the roads. You're going to make your counties and your cities and your towns clean and well-run and organized, and groups of people working for the people of law of the land and not the sea. And there's a lot of work to be done. Don't get fooled into thinking that everything's going to be done for you, because it is not. There's a massive amount of work out there that we're all going to be tasked with doing. But in the long run, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be very fulfilling, and it'll warm every single person's heart and spirit for many generations to come. So you're all pioneers, and you're all entrepreneurs, and you're all philanthropists, and you're all humanitarians. It doesn't matter if you've got 25 dinar. Doesn't matter. The massive, unending wealth is just, there isn't even a figure to pin it. There's no name for the amount of wealth. It is just absolutely unending. I've seen these places underground. It's like out of a science fiction movie. Period. And the bad guys have been trying to steal it for centuries. Steal it. And they just haven't been successful. They just have not been successful. So, positive, reinforcing, phenomenal. You all have had phenomenal impact, and I pray and I have faith that you'll continue to have phenomenal impact on the next several hours here. And then everybody is going to just hopefully stay together, work together, network. Several heads are better than one, and we all have strengths and weaknesses. The old mastermind group that National Steel used years and years ago. It's a good thing to put into practice. Is getting groups of people together in mastermind groups that have a lot of skills. Doesn't matter if they're 100 years old, as long as they have that wisdom and that knowledge and those skills. We can use every single able-bodied person we could possibly get our hands on. The biggest problem is going to be employment. Massive amounts of people will be needed. Massive. When you have technology that can heal everything wrong with you, that can reatomize limbs on your body. The veterans who have lost limbs, every limb will be reatomized, and they won't have to rehab it. They'll be able to use it just right away. It'll be like a new limb. Those technologies are used. They're used.
They're available.
Yeah, they're not. They have been used. I'll put it that way. So it's not like they're just, something that someone flipped out of some science fiction book. Those are a reality. You want to stay 35 years old? You can stay 35 years old if you understand the responsibility of staying 35 years old. Any disease that you have in your body, all the diseases on this planet were created like we were in a petri dish. And they wanted to test the human genetics to see how we could combat these different diseases. This planet was never meant to have all these different diseases. I kid you not. And, the atrocities go on and on and on. It's not meant to make people get just, super pissed. It's to make everybody come together and say, well, we're going to end this. It's not going to happen anymore. I'll go as far as to tell you they have one technology that is ET origin that a person can pass. And within a few hours, not for days and days and days, but within a few hours after that person has passed, they can bring them back to life in this chamber. That actually is a reality. And I'll give you an example where it was first shown, and again, it was in a science fiction movie. But if any of you get a copy of SG-1, Stargate, the movie with Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
All right? If any of you have seen that movie, there is a part in there where the alien keeps himself young by laying in this chamber, and where they bring a couple of people back to life. That chamber, that technology will be released to the human race.
Wow.
I mean, this stuff is, it is so exciting. It's positive. It's uplifting. It is absolutely miraculous stuff. We should have let go of the combustible engine 100 years ago. We shouldn't be using carbon-based fuels. We should have gotten rid of those decades ago. Okay? We have anti-gravitic drive. The Germans used it years ago, back in World War II. All right? I mean, it goes on and on and on. Electric cars will become a thing of the past. We've got an inventor right now that has an electric motor and a battery, a bio-organic battery, where you can drive an electric car indefinitely without recharging. Okay? And we've seen this thing in action. So it's just mind-boggling. It's just so exciting. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And I wanted to make sure I could share some of that with you guys tonight because this is an uplifting time. This is a phenomenal, energizing, knock your socks off, blow your wigs to fire, unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. It is just phenomenally fantastic. It's spectacular. It's better than 5,000 4th of Julys. It's just anything you could imagine of being happy in your life right now. If you could have that wish come true, it will come true. It will come true. So this is just speaking, and sharing with you that I was allowed to do tonight. It is basically the truth on what has transpired. That's it.
I want to thank you personally for coming on this call. And I want to thank whoever allowed you to speak the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's my pleasure. A lot of arguing had to go on before that had happened.
Oh, I know.
I want to ask you a question, if you are allowed to give us this answer. Can I do that?
You can go ahead.
If you can't give this answer, then
well, if I can't give it, I won't.
understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
If I can't give it, I won't. I won't give it if I can't give it.
Yes. Yeah. Will we have full disclosure about what's going on underneath the earth?
Are you talking about Hollow Earth?
I'm talking about with the giants and the other entities that they are locating.
Oh, are you talking about the Nephilim and the different civilizations that the human race should have known about years and years and years ago, but now we're just finding out about them?
Yeah, the ETs that were in stasis in the Antarctic that are now waking up.
Yes. Will we have full disclosure concerning that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll be glad to answer any questions that people have. I've got a bit of time allotted, so if anybody wants to ask anything, I can answer it. I can answer it. If I can't, I won't.
Tank's got a million questions.
I literally have a million questions. I can't even formulate one right now. I'm so excited to hear you say all those.
Okay. Before you start, Tank. Okay, I know you people feel like you just went through 1,000 yards of tinfoil listening for the last however long it's been.
That's an understatement.
When I tell you that there are people that listen to these calls and repeat or emphasize or give you information that I myself have given you over the years, here is a prime example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the frustrating thing is so compartmentalized that it would fry you if you knew how compartmentalized it was. It's just absolutely unbelievable.
Yet here you are.
That's exactly right.
And for a very good reason.
It's time. It's just time. There's a beginning and an ending to everything.
Yes, I agree. It's time.